The fastest growing conservative talk show in the South is now on 5 days a week on WGSO 990.
That's right. American Ground Radio has moved from Saturdays to Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 p.m.
American Ground Radio is based out of Louisiana and is grounded in the ideas that founded our country.
American Ground Radio is a show for everyone who believes there is greatness within each of us.
So tune in Monday through Friday starting at 8 p.m.
on the community voice of the Crescent City, WGSO 990 AM.
Hey y'all, the Beat Exchange has a new time slot, Mondays at 7 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans. The Beat Exchange with Barbara Hoover.
It's the Flaming Conservative. Join me now on Friday nights at 7 p.m. for Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya on WGSO.
Hey, this is Christian Garrick of the Christian Garrick Show. Listen to me weekdays, noon to 2, only on WGSO 990 AM New Orleans.
Hey News, I'm Dave Collins. President Biden is not addressing his son's federal gun charges. In a planned speech in Maryland today, Biden stuck to touting his economic agenda and slamming Republicans. White House referred requests for comment to the Justice Department and Hunter Biden's legal team. Former President Trump says Democrats have opened the proverbial Pandora's box following the indictment of Hunter Biden.
In a post on Truth Social, Trump said Democrats have started a process that is very dangerous for our country. The president's son was indicted on 3 felony gun charges by a special counsel Thursday. Trump said the gun charge is the only crime that Hunter Biden committed that does not implicate crooked Joe Biden. He went on to say it is possible that the USA will never be the same again. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Wall Street is closing with stocks higher. This comes as the European Central Bank hiked rates on Thursday, even though the Federal Reserve is expected to hold rates steady at its meeting. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 331 points to 34,907. The S&P 500 rose by 37 points to 45,05. The Nasdaq gained 112 points to 13,926. New York City Mayor Eric Adams continues to call on the federal government to do much more to help the city with the migrant crisis.
The mayor is speaking out again about the drastic budget cuts needed in order to make way for billions of dollars in spending on the migrant issue.
We got a $5 billion deficit that we have to take out of the household of New York City. It's unacceptable.
Meanwhile, White House staffers are now in the city to try and guide migrants through the process of applying for federal work authorization. They're also meeting with small business owners on the topic of migrant work permits.
That's Scott Pringle reporting. Policing experts say that the photo which about 24 officers took with escaped murderer Danilo Cavalcante after capturing him is inhumane and inappropriate. I'm Dave Collins, and this is USA News.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
The Biden administration is awarding more than $1 billion in grants to give Americans more access to trees and green spaces. The U.S. Forest Service says it will issue 385 grants to increase access to trees and nature in cities, towns, and suburbs around the country. The Alabama Public Library Service will soon start posting a list of books considered inappropriate for children. The board voted yesterday to allow people to send in titles they deem unsuitable, which will then be submitted to the agency's website. The decision reportedly has to do with sexually explicit content and books with radical ideologies. There is no let-up in horrors from flooding in Libya. NBC's Molly Hunter reports on the devastation.
Storm Daniel brought 9 months of rain in just 6 hours, bursting through 2 dams. Satellite images show the coastline before and after. Drone footage captures the scale. 1/3 of Derna wiped out.
Well, any early evening thunderstorms will taper down tonight. A few maybe about overnight and into the morning, but generally drying out until we get back to some afternoon thunderstorms becoming more likely too Friday afternoon. In the morning, we'll start 70s. Afternoon, we'll go to the 80s to near 90. Then 80s and 70s rain-cooled spots. More chances of rain, 50-50 each day upcoming weekend with a partly cloudy sky. Otherwise, Saturday, Sunday, and highs of 80s to 90. Some great deals on construction equipment, farm machinery, vehicles, boats, and much more. Mark your calendars for Henderson Auctions Fall 2-Day Public Auction, Thursday, September 14th, Friday, September 15th. You don't want to miss this opportunity to bid on a wide variety of items. Join us at exit 22 off I-12 and visit hendersonauctions.com for all the details. Come to the Henderson Auctions Fall 2-Day Public Auction. Take advantage of some great bargains. Auction business license AB-459.
The views and opinions expressed during this show are those of the hosts and guests only. In no way do they represent the views, positions, or opinions expressed or implied of WGSO 990 AM or North Shore Radio, LLC.
To be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave their right to me, and I gladly stand.
It's time to join Huck and Dave for 1 hour of educational news and conversation. They will discuss the current events that you are not going to hear on the mainstream media. The left wants to silence our free speech and take away our liberties. Huck and Dave want to open up the lines of communication and allow you, our listeners, to speak about what America wants. Call Huck and Dave for open discussions at 504-556-9696. Or you can reach them at libertyorlockdown.live. Now, let's go live and direct to Huck and Dave for Liberty or Lockdown.
Welcome back to Liberty or Lockdown. This is not Huck. This is Dave. I'm sitting on the other side of the studio as Martha fiddles around with the camera. Anyway, it's... You there? Okay, she's there, but you can't hear her on the microphone.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, there she is. There she is.
First, but all right, welcome to Liberty or Lockdown, Dave. You know, you got to say what we need to say so we could get going.
I don't know what we need to say.
Come on now, we've been here almost 4 years. Can you believe that?
Nope.
Has it been 3 or 4? I'm losing
Three
count.
and a half.
3 and a half. Well,
Yeah.
no, August. We started in 2020, so 3. Yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
3. Yeah.
3 years. But anyway, we have a great show for our listeners today. We have 3 guests that'll be calling in. Scott Pressler, who's a social media influencer, a Republican, and out there doing a great job on boots on the ground, you know, getting people to register to vote. And he's got a huge following, I think, out there on Twitter and some of those platforms. So in a second, we'll have him in, to talk to you all. And then we also have Dr. Frank Douglas, who's, doing a lot of election integrity. He's got a huge resume. This is an incredible man. And then we have a candidate here from Jefferson Parish who will be calling in later. So stay tuned to see who that candidate is. Scott Pressler, are you with us? Hello.
I sure am. Thank you so much for having me, Martha.
Yes, thank you. It's good to hear your voice. Anyway, I was really impressed with the work that you did over there out in Kenner, one of those events. Tell us a little bit about it, and what have you been doing since then?
Yes, so a couple months back, I visited Louisiana. We did Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Kenner, and that's where I saw you a second time because you were kind enough, Martha, to come out to a gun show. And so we were there registering voters and educating voters that in your state, while you usually have jungle primaries, like the next primary for the governorship is on October 14th, but we were telling people, hey, if you want to vote next year in the presidential primary in Louisiana for 2024, you must be registered as a Republican. And so a lot of people didn't realize that because they were independent, they couldn't vote. And so we were there to change them, to educate them, and to get more volunteers to make sure that we're going to win that governorship this year in 2023.
That's correct. So, and I was really impressed because by the end of the day, you had how many registered to vote?
Oh gosh, I think that day we got 21.
Yeah.
Now, I know probably people at home, Arthur, are thinking, 21, that's not a huge number, whatever. But I'll tell you, the national voter registration average, a good average, is getting one registered voter per hour. And I'd say that, with all the volunteers you included, we were there probably 5 or 6 hours. So, I mean, the amount that we were able to touch in terms of voters and the amount of people we registered, that was a huge success that day.
That's correct. And I'm going to give you some kudos too, because I know that you're supporting one particular candidate and there are other people that are supporting other candidates. But I never once saw you push your candidate. You were very, very good about just staying neutral and just getting people to vote. So I wanted to applaud you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, look, I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
I am here to fight for liberty and for freedom. And even in the presidential election, people are supporting President Trump. They're supporting Governor DeSantis, and that's fine. I'm here to register new Republican voters to make sure that in 2024, no matter who our candidate is, that A, people can participate in the primary, and B, that we come together as a family and make Joe Biden a one-term president. That is my mission.
That's a great mission. We are on board with you. I am completely in agreement with that. But the way things are looking, there's a lot of do-nothing Republicans out there, and they haven't really straightened out the election integrity. Conversations have been going on and on and on, but I mean, we've never really resolved how things shut down in the middle of the night and votes switched from Trump to Biden, and how all of these nighttime the boxes that were used, a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of Republicans not wanting to address them. What do you say about that?
Well, I think it's important, especially, because there's a difference between the federal level and the state level. So first, I want to tackle the federal. In 2022, we delivered the House of Representatives to the Republican Party. And I've been at the forefront telling our leaders respectfully, you guys need to act, because Republicans, the base, are not going to be happy if you just simply are providing gridlock, stopping Joe Biden from passing dangerous and reckless legislation. And I am happy to see that they are doing an impeachment inquiry, because in my opinion, personally, that's what the base wants. There is more than enough evidence that the Biden crime family has done wrong, and we don't just need an inquiry, but we need to begin the impeachment process and let the government present evidence, and we'll see if the Senate votes to convict. But the base wants action. Now, at the state level, we've been making some progress, but I have to be honest with you. I know that people want one day, one vote, one paper ballot, but it's going to be harder for us in states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan, where we don't control the government. And I know that's not the answer that people want to hear from me, but what I'm trying to do is empower people by helping them become an election day worker. If you guys at home want safe and secure, fair and free elections, I really need your help becoming an election day worker. And, we're talking to Louisiana right now. In terms of Louisiana compared to other states, you guys have a very limited early in-person voting window, and you guys have a pretty strict process in terms of who can apply for an absentee ballot. So compared to other states like Nevada, etc., Louisiana has much more election integrity than other states, and I hope that helps to quell at least any fears that Louisianans have.
Okay. So have you heard of Dr. Frank?
Yes.
Or do you know anything about him? Have you followed him? Because he's one of our guests today, and I'd really appreciate for you to hang on and to listen to what he has to say. Because what I like about our republic is that we listen to differences of opinions, and then we take all the facts, and then we make a decision based off of that, not off of things that are just said but not proven. And so I really like what Dr. Frank has been doing across the United States. And I really would appreciate it if even our Attorney General, if we would, address these election integrity issues, even in the state of Louisiana, because we are a red state. But there's definitely something that needs to be said and done about all of what's going on in every state across the United States and also in different countries. And when we come back, we'll be talking about that. This is Liberty or Lockdown. We'll be right back.
Country love. America, America, make God thy gold refine. Till success.
Chicken, chicken, chicken. Some of them old bars down in the Louisiana legislature are willing to let teachers teach our kids that all white people are inherently racist, and that Louisiana is a racist state, and that America is a racist country. Them old bars are too chicken to stand up for America. They ought to be put out on a chicken farm.
Some people in the Louisiana legislature want to permit the teaching of critical race theory in our state. That theory says that if two babies are born today, one black baby and one white baby, that the white baby is the mean racist oppressor of the black baby, and that the black baby is the weak, incompetent victim of the white baby. Unbelievable. Those people say that the innocent white baby by his DNA is bad and racist, and the black baby by his DNA is a weak victim who can never succeed. Only a total fool would believe or accept this idiocy. Yet they want to teach this foolishness to Louisiana's young people. Please call your legislator today and raise some sand.
What does Grace mean to you? At Grace at the Green Light, a 501c3 nonprofit, we believe that everyone deserves a hot meal, clean drinking water, and a chance to go home again. Our work is made possible through the generous support of Faubourg Private Wealth, which provides holistic financial planning tailored for your family. Find out more at fpwa.com.
Hello, Patriots. My name is Connie, and I am a fellow Louisianian. I started an online store in 2019 exclusively selling products which are made in the USA. My site is AmericanCentralStore.com. That's AmericanCentralStore.com. The reason for this ad is that I need products. I am trying to find drop shipping merchants with Louisiana-made products that can ship directly to the customer. If you are a Louisiana merchant who makes quality products, and if you can drop ship your products directly to the customer, I would love to hear from you. The only products I cannot carry right now are clothing items, but will carry those in the future. Please visit my site at AmericanCentralStore.com. Click the Contact Us link for the phone number and email address. Thank you, Patriots. Be American, buy American.
We're not gonna take it. We ain't
Gonna take it anymore. So we had my friend Scott Pressler on the line, and I asked him to hang in there because I'm going to bring in Dr. Frank, who is a world-renowned physicist with 60 peer-reviewed scientific publications, including cover and feature articles in the world's leading scientific journals. His PhD is in surface. Let me see if I say this because I know it's correct. Electroanalytical chemistry.
That sounds good.
All right.
You did well.
Thank you so much. Which combines chemistry, physics, electronics, and advanced computing and mathematics for the manipulation and investigation of molecules on surfaces. He left university academics in 1996 and has since done extensive consulting, inventing, and technical manufacturing, including electron microscopes, laser scanners, and automated precision manufacturing and quality control devices. So he is someone who has been on the front lines, really trying to get some attention, to bring attention to our election integrity across the United States. Dr. Frank, are you with us, sir?
I'm there. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. I'm sorry we didn't get you on the live stream. Are you sure you can't pull up that link? And
I haven't received the link from you yet.
You haven't received it. All right.
And I want to say this is my kind of guy. I'm a physics guy and I teach physics, so everything is physics.
So, Dr. Frank, that's my co-host, Dave. He's a physics
Hi,
guy.
Dave. Yeah, I'd love to come online, but a lot of times people leave out the G when they send me an email. So
Well, I just replied to the one that you sent me with your
I'd love to
bio.
come on the live stream. I'll double check here while we're talking. Sure.
Okay, perfect. So I would love for you to, real quick, go with us a little bit backwards, and then we're going to move forward. Because I'm
Okay.
fascinated by the fact that you were able to meet up with our Secretary of State, Kyle Ardon, with several of the Louisiana people on the Louisiana Election Integrity Committee. And you met with him for multiple hours, 5-6 hours. And you
On a
guys-
Sunday.
On
Yeah.
a Sunday. So tell some of our listeners a little bit about that, and then we're going to move forward real quick.
Okay, so you remember that last year in June 2022, you guys had a GOP convention, and it was the same time region as when 2000 Mules came out. So you guys made the theme of the GOP in 2022 election integrity. Makes sense. And you had a massive turnout, much more than you usually have, because people, of course, are very interested in election integrity. Well, Kyle Ardon was the opening keynote speaker on Friday night, and then I was, I think, third that night. And, of course, he got up and touted how great Louisiana is and talked about how you guys are the gold standard in the country. And, of course, he's president of the National Secretaries of State Association, so he ought to know. And I remember listening to that speech. There was a standing ovation and thunderous applause. And then I was next, or maybe third. And when I got up, I showed all the problems in your elections, and you have some serious issues there. And so, in my speech, it was well received, standing ovation, thunderous applause. So you can imagine how it was all day Saturday at all the breakout sessions and committee meetings of the GOP. Okay, is Dr. Frank right, or is Kyle Ardon correct? Who's right? So to resolve it, a group of about a dozen citizens got together and arranged for a private meeting for me and Kyle all day Sunday. And I spent all morning long basically teaching him how his elections worked and where the flaws were and what the problems were. And then we took a break for lunch, and it was awesome. We had eggplant parmesan. I'll never forget. It was excellent. A couple brought us the food. We were at a private residence for this meeting. It was great. I'll never forget it. So anyway, and as we were breaking for lunch, he says to me, Dr. Frank, I understand all this stuff you're teaching me, but I'm a little confused. And I said, why is that? And he says, well, because in order for all this problems to happen that you're describing, people would have to have access to our machines. And I said, that's right. And he says, well, that can't happen because we have the gold standard in network security in the country. I know. I'm president of the Secretaries of State Association. I know what everybody has. We have the latest, greatest, most secure networks in the country. And so I said, okay, well, speaking of cell phones, I took my cell phone out and I called a friend of mine who's a white hat hacker. We've done this dozens of times now around the country. And right in front of his face, we hacked into all your parishes, one after another. We even hacked into his own computer in his office at work. Okay? I mean, his elections are not secure. And so I showowed him that they're not secure.
You used his cell phone to do it.
I used my cell phone. He was saying that his cell phone, he had an app on it that showed, where he was monitoring all the election networks in the state. And I said, well, speaking of cell phones, so I pulled out mine and I called my friend, who's a white hat hacker. He's a good guy. We've used him quite a bit. He has a federal license to do this, so we're not breaking any laws. Basically, we're showing him, look, you think you're secure, but you're not. 3 hours together, planning strategies and reviewing what authority he has as Secretary of State. And And a long story short, we came up with a plan that he was going to decertify all the machines in your state for all that early voting. All that early voting you do on Dominion machines, he was going to decertify those machines so that you were back to paper. And when you're on paper, you can control what's happening. You know, outside people can't get into it because it's hard for me to hack into your election when there's a person with a pen and paper in Louisiana. But when it's electrical, yeah, I can hack into that. So anyway, so I called Mike Lindell at the end of the day and said, hey, guess what, Mike? I work closely with Mike on a lot of projects. I said, Kyle Ardoin is going to decertify all the machines in the state of Louisiana. And he's like, way to go, way to go. And so if you recall, that following week, Mike flew down and testified for your legislature because you guys were right in the middle of an investigation to decide about upgrading or not upgrading or what to do about your. And he came down and testified. Now, we wanted to make Kyle a hero. We were trying to say, look, this guy is going to admit that the machines are vulnerable and he's going to decertify the machines. So we didn't want to steal his thunder.
I remember Mike Lindell was doing that at his event last year because I was there. I remember him tooting Kyle Ardoin's horn.
Exactly. We were trying to build him up.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to, because it takes courage to stand up and admit what the problems are. So he and Kyle and Mike Lindell even testified before your legislature. We're basically offering an olive branch. Look, we're going to help you secure your elections. Well, long story short, Kyle reneged on the deal we'd made with him. He didn't go public with it. He didn't decertify the machines. And so after the election, people were very frustrated with him, especially the people who had arranged that private meeting with him. And so they began collecting affidavits. You know, first I skipped a step. So they confronted him in a public press conference and about it. And he, said, hey, you were supposed to do this. This was the plan. He denied the whole thing. He even denied meeting with me.
I saw that.
So they collected affidavits, and they got an affidavit from me as well. The first affidavit is, that I picked up Dr. Frank from the hotel at this time and delivered him to this. You see how it goes. They basically documented the entire day with a set of affidavits, and they confronted out Kyle Ardoin in private. And guess what? That's when he resigned. That's when he announced he's going to quit. So obviously somebody's got to him, or he's concerned, but he's just not willing to stand for whatever reason. Maybe they're threatening his wife. Maybe they've got him, blackmailed. I don't know. Whatever the reason is, he's not willing to follow through on that discussion, and he denied the whole thing. So that's kind of a short version of the longer story. But bottom line, your elections are not secure. And it's not just you guys. We're not just picking on Louisiana. I've done this in multiple states. I like to tell people I'm a catalyst. I come in and make trouble, but it's not me who affects the change in the end. It's the citizens that accomplish that.
That's correct. And we are still working at it. I know that when Kyle decided to drop out a couple of days later, Schexnayder dropped into the Secretary of State race, and Schexnayder's a big rhino. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll continue right when we get back. This is Liberty or Lockdown.
Liberty started shaking wheels, and the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be here when you hear Mother Freedom start to ring the bell, and it'll feel like the world is raining down. Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
Taste of Tokyo, 10160 Jefferson Highway, River Ridge, Louisiana. Among other Japanese cuisine places to visit, this restaurant can be one of the best. Good salmon, broth, and sushi will impress you at the first bite. Taste tasty cheesecake and good ice cream to form your opinion about Taste of Tokyo. Visit this place and order delicious wine. If you enjoy great tea, you'll love Taste of Tokyo. The cozy atmosphere makes guests feel relaxed, and everyone seems to be having a good time. According to Google review, pricing is excellent, and the staff is considered attentive and patient. I suggest trying the beef tataki, pepper tuna sashimi, playboy roll in soy paper, and the sunshine roll. It tastes and feels like you're in Hawaii. Enjoy Taste of Tokyo on Jefferson Highway.
The Louisiana Music and Heritage Experience presents NOLA Funk Fest, October 20th through the 22nd at the New Orleans Jazz Museum. This festival includes 3 days of our local beloved music, food, art, and fun, plus a special Fats Domino and Dave Bartholomew exhibit. The festival will feature Irma Thomas, Leo Nocentelli, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, George Porter Jr. and the Runnin' Partners, and so much more. For tickets and more information, go to nolafunkfest.com.
New Orleans, are you ready to have a conversation? Well, if you are, Ron Richardson is here to tell you that you should tune into my show, Conversations with Ron Richardson, every Saturday morning from 11 a.m. until 12 noon here on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com, where we discuss mental health, disability, and everyday life. Tune in to Conversations with Ron Richardson every Saturday morning from 11 a.m. until 12 noon here on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Tico Fox. U.S. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy is launching a formal impeachment inquiry of President Biden to receive financial records of the president and his son, Hunter Biden. Republican Louisiana Congressman Garrett Graves.
What it means is that you are going to do an investigation to determine if there are actions that warrant impeachment. This is an investigatory process. This is doing an investigation.
Graves says over the past few months, several committees like Judiciary, Oversight, and Ways and Means have all done investigations and found questionable items. Baton Rouge Police has charged 30-year-old Douglas Brown in the death of his elderly father, 79-year-old John Brown. John Brown was found fatally wounded inside his home Saturday.
Do you want me to hang up the phone?
Says evidence led to Douglas Brown's arrest.
He was arrested at the home on Leonidas. Our SWAT team, along with detectives, went and apprehended him.
Douglas Brown was charged with second-degree murder and other offenses. LRN.
As parents, we have a lot to be proud of. Our kids are smart, talented, and dedicated, but all of them are at risk. 1 in 3 Louisiana high school students use e-cigarettes, and every day more teens struggle with vape-related problems like nicotine addiction and lung damage. The time to talk to your teen is now, and we can help. Get vaping facts, talking tips, and quitting resources at BehindTheHazeLA.com. Sponsored by the Louisiana Department of Justice.
The next time you hit the open road in Louisiana, take a closer look at who's out there with you. We're on the road in our vehicles, on our bikes, and on foot. And we need to respect each other. We all have the right to be on the road. In fact, it's Louisiana law. When you are in a vehicle, you must stop and yield to pedestrians and crosswalks. Follow the law and respect your fellow travelers. Paid for by Louisiana Highway Safety Commission.
Some people in the Louisiana legislature want to permit the teaching of critical race theory in our state. That theory says that if 2 babies are born today, 1 black baby and 1 white baby, that the white baby is the mean racist oppressor of the black baby, and that the black baby is the weak, incompetent victim of the white baby. Unbelievable. Those people say that the innocent white baby by his DNA is bad and racist, and the black baby by his DNA is a weak victim who can never succeed. Only a total fool would believe or accept this idiocy. Yet they want to teach this foolishness to Louisiana's young people. Please call your legislator today and raise some sand.
Hello, Patriots. My name is Connie, and I am a fellow Louisianian. I started an online store in 2019 exclusively selling products which are made in the USA. My site is AmericanCentralStore.com. That's AmericanCentralStore.com. The reason for this ad is that I need products. I am trying to find drop shipping merchants with Louisiana-made products that can ship directly to the customer. If you are a Louisiana merchant who makes quality products, and if you can drop ship your products directly to the customer, I would love to hear from you. The only products I cannot carry right now are clothing items, but will carry those in the future. Please visit my site at AmericanCentralStore.com. Click the Contact Us link for the phone number and email address. Thank you, Patriots. Be American, buy American.
Good times never seem so.
Times never seem so good. Huh, Dr. Frank? I think we're going to kick some butt. What do you think?
Looking forward to it.
All right, I'm not hearing you. Are you did you hang up or you need to call in because we're not
I'm on the StreamYard. Do you need me to call back?
4556-9696.
Sorry. I
Yep.
hung up. I thought you wanted
We're
me on
going to
the
get this
StreamYard.
right, guys.
It's a shame
You're-
we can't read lips. I see his lips moving.
So we have Dr. Frank on the live stream. Dr. Frank,
Sorry about that. I hung up the phone. I thought I was in the live stream now.
call into the producer's line 504-556-9696.
Oh, okay.
504-556-9696. Thank y'all out there for being patient. This is a very important interview. We just need to make sure that everybody understands that we need to do a little bit more. We need to figure out what's going on with our elections, why so many people, just regular citizens, are concerned about this, and we need real answers. And we need, like Scott Pressler is doing, he's going out there and he's getting people to register to vote, which is extremely important. He's Republican, I'm a Republican, and it's important that we get people to vote. And a lot of Democrats are coming over to the Republican side. They're seeing what's going on with every aspect of. So many things are just really strange right now in the political world. The fake news media. You can't get, you have so much censorship. They're censoring. The Republicans are even censoring. So we have a lot of questions. And we want some answers. And that's what Dr. Frank is on here with us talking about. All right. So, sir, where did we leave off at?
We were talking about the Kyle Ardoin situation.
That's right.
He resigned. And, we can talk about it more. But the point that's important to me that people understand is that I wasn't picking on Louisiana.
That's right.
We've been in multiple states, and it's the same situation everywhere we go. We need to go back to a system where the people are in charge rather than the state. It's the oldest story in government, right? You never give the government power, because if you do, you never get it back. And I love the title of your show, right? Liberty Lockdown. The more power we give to the government, the less liberty we have. And that's essentially what's happened across our country. Is every state now centrally controls its elections. It's basically taken away the infrastructure away from the locals. And so how do you police elections? How do you police an election that when you're trying to control it on the other side of the state? You can't. It has to be locally managed.
And that's a good plug right now, because we have multiple candidates that are running for Secretary of State. But hands down, bar none, the one that I am voting for is Brandon Trosclair.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yes, that's right. It's GEAUX. Let's go, Brandon. Is it
.org.
.org. And he's the only candidate that's actually talking about, transparency and paper ballots. And I know Scott Pressler was telling us that he, in other states that's not a great idea. What do you say about that?
Well, I've been going community to community and teaching them step one, how to find fraud for themselves. So in other words, it makes people not, anybody who talks about election fraud just sounds like a conspiracy wingnut. Yeah. And so that doesn't help us to scream and yell about that. So right. I come in, I'm boots on the ground, and I teach people. Now, why do I do that? Because once they actually find fraud in their election and they can track down how it's getting in, that empowers the local citizen to go to their local leaders and say, look, we don't want to use this system anymore because this system is disenfranchising us from our votes. So I'll just give you an example of that, and I'm addressing your question this way. In Northern California, Shasta County, there are about 75,000 voters there. They have taken back control. The community has taken back control of their election away from the state of California. They have paper poll books, paper ballots, hand marked, and they're hand counting them themselves. And it's very, one of the complaints everybody always says is, well, we can't even get people to show up as poll workers. Yeah. Well, it's a pretty boring job when you have all these machines around. But if you get to count the ballots yourself, that's fun. I mean, everybody remembers voting for the prom queen. That's a fun election to count. And so it's easy to get people. It's easier, I should say, to get people involved if you make it fun, if you engage the people, engage the citizens. So now, why is that so important? Because then that community, the Shasta County, Northern California community, is embracing the election. So instead of people saying, "Oh, the whole thing's rigged. I don't want to be involved anymore. Why should I vote? The whole thing's rigged," which is the situation. We have tremendous apathy across the country because of this. Nobody trusts the machines anymore. So this re-engages our voters. This re-engages people in the party. It encourages them to get involved. And who would? I'd love to count ballots. That would be fun on election night. So that's what I'm advocating for. It's less about how we do it and more about we're doing it or someone else is doing it. Plato said the penalty for refusing to get involved in politics is you end up getting governed by your inferiors. And that's the situation. For decades, we've been letting other people run our government. We've been letting other people do our elections. We've been letting other people teach our children. How's that working out for us? It's not working out great. So really, I'm encouraging people to re-engage the process. It's less, sure, I like getting rid of the machines because that puts the locals back in control. But really, I have nothing against machines per se. I go to the bank, I give the teller a stack of bills, we count them in front of each other, and then she puts them in a little machine, and it goes and counts them. Okay, I have nothing wrong with the machine per se, but all the advance notice that we give nefarious actors by using electronics ahead of time is putting us at a huge disadvantage. I know that a lot of people in the Republican Party are encouraging early voting, and if there was no electronics involved, I wouldn't be opposed to early voting. But the problem is we check them in electronically when they come in early. And so now guess what? You've just given nefarious actors all the information they need to know. Okay, this is how many Republicans have voted. I guess we need to stuff this many ballots. And I guess we know who's already voted, so we know which names to use when we do our stuffing. It's not a good strategy unless it's all opaque before the elections, before the polls close. Nobody should be able to know anything, and then after the polls close, everybody should be able to know everything. It should be completely transparent afterwards and completely opaque beforehand. Nobody should get to know anything. That's how you ensure the security of an election.
So what do you say about these indictments that President Trump has been dealing with because he's coming out against election integrity or election fraud?
Well, when that first happened, the conservative community rejoiced because they said, aha, this is wonderful. We're going to get to have discovery now, and we're going to get to reveal all the fraud. And I've been in 800 counties, boots on the ground myself, all across the country, 46 states. I'm only home a few days every month. I'm working really hard at this. And I can tell you across the country, there's a lot of fraud. So it's not a question of whether there's fraud or not. It's a question of what is the public perception of it and what is the legal process if we're going to prosecute it and whatnot. So I think that in this process of Trump being indicted, there'll be a lot of that finally comes to light. But I think the timing is suspicious. Think about it for a minute. Hillary lost in 2016. And what did we all hear about? We heard about, the Russians hacked our elections. Our machines aren't secure. And Hillary hired Professor Haldeman and his students, and they prepared a report showing how to hack into all of our elections.
Wait, hold on. Are you making that story up, or is that real? Did Hillary hire the Professor Haldeman, or is that facetious?
Yes.
What?
No, that's real.
Are you serious?
I'm serious, and that was presented in a Georgia
I
court.
know that Hillary hired Professor Haldeman to create the Haldeman report.
Well, don't you remember them being indicted? Oh no, that never happened.
I have been touting that Halderman report like it's
Yes.
like it's gold, and now you're telling
Yes.
me that Hillary Clinton
Yes.
hired the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Why?
goodness.
Because she was trying to prove to everybody the elections were that her election was stolen from her. Why do you think they had federal testimony? I mean, I think congressional testimony. For 4 years, we had to listen to Hillary screaming bloody murder that the Russians hacked our elections and that, it was stolen from her, that we have quote after quote of her in the media saying that. Well, now we're just having the Republicans do that. Well, what are we going to do? Keep going back and forth? 4 years of Democrats, 4 years of Republicans? That's a dumb way to run our elections in the freest, most important republic in the world.
We're
Okay,
gonna take a
we
quick
should not be
break. We have
running our
one more
elections that way.
segment left. Just hold on. We'll be right back. This is Liberty or Lockdown.
The government is out of control. They're taking freedoms away. To send the message, I've had enough. We the people say,
What? Chicken. Some of them old bars down in the Louisiana legislature are willing to let teachers teach our kids that all white people are inherently racist. And that Louisiana is a racist state and that America is a racist country. Them old bars are too chicken to stand up for America. They ought to be put out on the chicken farm.
Hello, Patriots. My name is Connie, and I am a fellow Louisianian. I started an online store in 2019 exclusively selling products which are made in the USA. My site is AmericanCentralStore.com. That's AmericanCentralStore.com. The reason for this ad is that I need products. I am trying to find drop shipping merchants with Louisiana-made products that can ship directly to the customer. If you are a Louisiana merchant who makes quality products, and if you can drop ship your products directly to the customer, I would love to hear from you. The only products I cannot carry right now are clothing items, but will carry those in the future. Please visit my site at AmericanCentralStore.com. Click the Contact Us link for the phone number and email address. Thank you, Patriots. Be American, buy American.
The Tux Charitable Foundation, in association with the crew of Tux Parade, is holding the 4th Tux Umbrella Walk and Gumbo Gras on October 28th at 9 a.m. in Audubon Park, shelter number 10 off Magazine Street. Food, drink, live music are all included with registration. This is where Mardi Gras meets Halloween, and everyone is encouraged to come in costume. Kids' activities include the Small Friars Umbrella Decorating Tent, Decorated Wagon Parade, and Small Friars Funhouse. Please go to www.tuxfoundation.org for information and registration. Does your business need help with print, signs, or marketing? Partner with Sir Speedy. We have more than 50 years of know-how and a proven track record that goes into every project. Our specialists will work with you on everything from print collateral and direct marketing campaigns to signage, both indoor and outdoor. Call Sir Speedy and let us know how we can help at 504-586-9812 or visit us online at SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com. Sir Speedy, if you need it, we do it.
Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
If you relate to these clips playing in the background, you will relate to Everything Old is New Again right here on WGSO. Hi, this is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Join us for the fun on Saturday mornings at 8 right here on the community voice of the Crescent City, WGSO.
Go ahead, make my day. I pledge allegiance to this flag. And if that bothers you, well, that's too bad.
Yeah, this is Dave. I wanted to ask Dr. Frank, since Mr. Trump has been indicted on all of these things for challenging the election, is this the first time any presidential candidate has ever challenged the election after it was over?
Well, I don't think so, and we that's a fun question, clearly, given the topic of our last segment, because I brought up the fact that Hillary was complaining that the Russians hacked our elections for 4 years. in the last one. So
And how about Al Gore? How about Al Gore?
Yeah, exactly. And election fraud is not a new topic. Is sort of the way of summarizing the answer to your question. As long as there have been elections, there's been election fraud, and I don't. The machines just make it easier. That's all.
But nobody ever got indicted for challenging the election before.
You mean there's a double standard?
Maybe so. How about Stacey Abrams in Georgia challenging the gubernatorial election?
Yeah,
Never got
exactly.
indicted.
Yeah, this is the indictments against Trump are just at all costs. They cannot allow Trump to be president again because he knows what he's doing now.
Yeah, they're not
and
going to be
then
able to
he's gonna
stuff
come there and
billions.
slash and burn.
Yeah, they're not going to
What's
be able to
that?
stuff enough ballots the next time go around because now we have all the black vote and we have the Hispanic vote. I mean, speaking about that, I just spent 10 days in Guatemala. I came back on Sunday, and I was given the privilege of interviewing two interviewers with an attorney who's by the name of Giovanni Prati, who's with Guatemala Inmortal, and a family who had to flee Russia, which you can find her on all types of social medias. That story is fascinating. But one of the main things that we discussed with Giovanni was that there's a connection between Joe Biden and Guatemala, just like when he was a VP, and Joe Biden in Ukraine, and quid pro quo Joe. And there's so much fraud. But one thing that the elections were just stolen from the Guatemalans last month, and a Marxist president is supposed to be put in January, and his party was just established, and it's called the Seed Movement Party. It never existed. It wasn't even on the docket, and they were able to use Smartmatic to steal the election from the Guatemalans, which are extremely conservative. These people, they love Jesus. They are either charismatic, Catholic, or Protestant, but they love Jesus. And they are furious because the new president, Seed Movement Party, is all about the LGBTQ PC. And it is unbelievable what they're doing. So it's not just here in America, it's worldwide.
I like telling people we invented the machine to steal elections in other countries. That's why we did. And by the way, Smartmatic is also in America. You may not know that. They do one county. They do Los Angeles County, Southern California. And I'm in a lawsuit. I had to do a big deposition with them because Mike Lindell featured me in one of his documentaries. And it's called Scientific Proof. It's just me and Mike for an hour, where I show basically the algorithms that I uncovered when I was working in Pennsylvania. But since Mike referred to Smartmatic in that documentary, now suddenly I'm a material witness. They're coming after Mike, full guns, ablazing to try to shut him up, because we are exposing a lot of things about their equipment.
I have a question. Have you been asked to be a consultant or an expert witness for defendants named in the D.C. or Fulton County indictments?
You mean Favorito?
Yeah.
I was just with him for a whole week. So yes, I've been in multiple lawsuits around the country. I'm typically gone for about 15, 16 days at a time. On my last trip, I was in West Virginia, Montana, Georgia, and then I just left Arizona. So you can imagine who I'm working with in each of those states. I work with the grassroots teams, but really the reason I do that is to support what's going on as a larger strategy. And then, yes, absolutely, behind the scenes, I meet with the lawsuits. I testify in a lot of lawsuits and consult with a lot of these prominent cases. Absolutely.
So where do we go from here?
Well, to emphasize what Martha's saying here, you're not just some guy we pulled in off the street. You've qualified as an expert witness in courts.
Yes, and not always. Sometimes they come out and they'll say, "Oh yeah, Dr. Frank can't testify as an expert witness because his PhD is in physics, not in social science." They'll say that, and in an Oregon court where they said that, I leaned over into the microphone and said, 1 plus 1 is still 2 in physics or social science. Elections are the easiest math there is. It's just 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. But I guess they do math differently in social science these days because, like Lincoln said, how many legs does a dog have if you call his tail a leg? Lincoln asked that question. The answer is 4. Calling his tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. But it does in social science. So there you go.
And all right, so to conclude, where are we now?
Well, what I've been doing is for most of 2021, I went around the country meeting like with Kyle Ardoin, meeting with senior officials, meeting with legislatures, and to very little effect at all. I mean, they know the fraud, but they're not going to fix it. So I spent all of 2022 working with grassroots teams, and I've kind of gleaned wisdom from the grassroots. I'm a scientist. I believe truth and logic and evidence, but okay, I had to learn some politics too, because they don't depend on truth, logic, and evidence. So I've been training local teams around the country, and that's really been snowballing in our favor. Probably 30 counties now have gotten rid of their machines around the country and are beginning to Kane County, and that's snowballing. And it's not like I said, I'm not against the machines. I'm against non-central. I don't want central control. And you remember, for example, last year the Wyomingites got their gander up and they threw out Liz Cheney, and they replaced her last year. Well, they also put in a new Secretary of State. His name is Chuck Gray, and he's trying to do election reform there. And the first thing their legislature wanted to do was take away election authority from him. So I think the establishment Republican Party is not our friend. I think that's the core problem. Exactly.
Are you just coming to this conclusion?
Yeah. Well, forgive me for being a scientist, okay? Because I'm not a
late to the party.
I'm late to the party, and okay, but at least I learned, right? I'm slow, but I get there. So around the country, where it's not just a civics revival we're experiencing. I think we're also in the midst of a spiritual revival, and it's exciting to be in the middle of it. So that's kind of where we are, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. I'm boots on the ground. I started with the Louisiana Federation of Republican Women over almost a decade ago, or about a decade ago, and I was right there with the establishments. I know Kyle Ardoin personally. I know Jeff Landry. I know John Schroeder. John Schroeder for governor. That's who I'm voting for because he is not establishment. Sorry to all you Jeff Landry, supporters, but he's establishment. We need to get out. We got to rage against the machine. And we cannot continue to put establishment candidates in there because they are establishment. Whether they're left or right, they're still establishment. John Schroeder is the treasurer right now for the state of Louisiana. He is not establishment. John Schroeder, when he was a representative, he legislated for good bill to save the money, the unclaimed money. And then now as treasurer, he put that unclaimed money into an account. And he had to fight John Bell Edwards, and Jeff Landry wouldn't represent him, so he got another lawyer, and he beat John Bell Edwards, and he saved that unclaimed money, and now he's going to make a good governor for the state of Louisiana. So there's my plug on that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I hope to get you back on my show. We will touch base
anytime, and we'll have the technical difficulties worked out next time.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Frank, thank you so much. This is Liberty or Lockdown. We'll see you next Thursday at 5 p.m. The Lord bless you.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York too.
Hey, it's Christian. When it comes to buying appliances, buy where the builders buy, and that's at DTS Appliance Direct. Shop